On July 2nd, 2023, a 62-year-old Japanese man was found passed away in a love hotel located in the northern Japanese city of Sapporo with his head missing from his body. The rest of his body that was still there was in a crouched down position as if he was asking for forgiveness. Now, Japan as a nation has its fair share of murder cases that occurs on a yearly basis, with a total of 853 murder cases being recorded in the year 2022 alone. But this specific crime case that has recently happened in the city of Sapporo is currently sweeping the Japanese media right now, with everyone in Japan being fixated upon being updated with any new detail that may be further revealed to the police investigation, which is still currently ongoing. So what are the exact elements about this specific crime case that is igniting such strong emotions from the Japanese people, and to be honest, myself as well, when I first read and researched into the details of the case? And what kind of precautionary tale can this crime case provide to anyone who's watching this video right now when it comes to visiting or living in Japan in the near future? So without further ado, let's take a deep dive into this recently occurred crime case that has put everyone in Japan in shock. A 29-year-old Japanese woman by the name of Luna Tamura lived in the city of Sapporo, located in Japan's northern island of Hokkaido, with her father Osamu Tamura and her mother Hiroko Tamura. Luna did not have a normal childhood. She suffered from a psychiatric condition from a very young age, and due to this reason, did not attend elementary and middle school properly and eventually dropped out of high school. And even when she became an adult, it is said that she continued to live her life as a hikikomori, or a social hermit who barely left the house. Her father, on the other hand, was a very well-known figure in the area, being a doctor at a local psychiatric hospital. It is said that he had an impeccable reputation prior to committing the deed with his daughter, with the neighbors and acquaintances having nothing but positive things to say about him, of how he was genuinely a good-hearted doctor who always put the patients first, and always helped out the weaker members of society through leading and participating in various community work. But going back to Luna, there is a key information about her that we have to keep in mind, and that is the fact that according to a local investigation official, Luna was in a state of confusion about her sexual orientation. To be more specific, she only liked women. Her grandfather came out and corroborated this fact as he told a media outlet about how Luna never really liked men throughout her entire life, and that he has never seen her talk or open her heart to men other than the members of her very own family. So as we can see here, Luna probably have lived a very difficult life, both with her psychiatric condition as well as having to most likely hide her orientation to the outside world throughout her entire life. But in May 2023, something made Luna want to finally leave her house and attend the LGBT party that was held in a club located in Susukino, a major red light district of the northern Hokkaido island. You can consider it basically as the Hokkaido's equivalent of Tokyo's red light district of Kabukicho. Perhaps as in the case of the story of Yuka, in which we discussed in our previous video on Japan's standing young woman problem, Luna perhaps no longer could endure the extreme loneliness of being stuck inside her room for years on end, and finally took the courage to meet other women who may have had similar orientations as her. And find the quote-unquote women she did. Luna met a 40-something-years-old looking quote-unquote woman at a club in Susukino, and things apparently took off. After spending some time at the club, they decided to head to a nearby love hotel together. But once they arrive at the love hotel, Luna is in for a mind-blowing shock. It turns out that this quote-unquote woman was actually a man. And this man, Hitoshi, tells Luna about the fact that although he enjoys dressing up as a woman, he much enjoys conducting the act of physical intimacy with women as well. Then he goes on to assault Luna without her consent inside the love hotel room and films the entire process. And now, with the film footage, Hitoshi continues to threaten Luna, continuing to contact her, stalking her, and asking her to meet up with him. Luna, in a state of extreme agony and despair over the whole situation, tells her parents about the dire predicament that she's in. And her father, Osamu, was once again not some negligent father who only cared about his career. Being a psychiatrist himself and thus knowing firsthand on how difficult life can be for individuals with mental conditions, he loved, protected, and took care of his daughter dearly throughout her life. Perhaps a TMI, but the name of his very YouTube channel where he uploaded clips of himself singing was named after his daughter, once again showing the love and affection that he had towards his daughter. So Luna's father is determined to take care of the situation. He gets in touch with the stalker Hitoshi and warns him to never approach and contact his daughter ever again. And Hitoshi initially obliges, allowing Luna and her father to think that this torturous situation has now all been finally handled. However, soon after, Hitoshi breaks his promise and continues to contact Luna. Investigative officials have stated that Hitoshi was even bold enough to once break into the Luna family's house, which subsequently put her father in an extreme state of rage and worry over the safety of his daughter. According to the words of his neighbors, from some point in time, Luna's father began to camp more and more frequently outside their house, eating his meals that were bought from the convenience store, such as bento and cup noodles, while being on the watch of anybody who was walking by their house. This very much showed the state of anxiety and paranoia in which Luna's father was in, and his determination to protect his daughter. And with Luna being predisposed to psychiatric impairments, which has already tormented her throughout her entire life, even prior to all this happening, we can only imagine the kind of mental state in which she was in at this particular point in time. So the family put their heads together and contemplated on how they can end this situation once and for all. Now, which one of the three members of the family exactly came up with the idea of taking the matter into their own hands and making Hitoshi quote-unquote unalive through their hands, we still do not know for sure. If there are to be any further information revealed by the investigation officials after this video has been uploaded, we'll make sure to update you guys on it in the comment section below. But regardless of which member of the family first came up with the idea, it seems to be the case that Luna's family has made their decision final. And while they were planning out the details of how exactly they were going to carry this out, they find out that a disco party will be held at a club, yet again in Hokkaido's entertainment district of Susukino on July 1st, 2023, and that Hitoshi will be attending the disco party, more than likely dressed as a woman again. The family chooses this day as the day to carry out their plan, and they prepare accordingly. A few days prior to July 1st, they purchase a carrier bag as well as a blade, which were both utilized on the day of the crime. So on July 1st, Hitoshi does indeed appear at the disco party, once again dressed as a woman, having the audacity to wear a crop top this time. And probably much to Hitoshi's surprise, he also sees Luna at the disco party. And this time, Luna was not running away from him, but was now rather the one persuading him to head to a nearby hotel together. Hitoshi probably thought that after all the threatening, stalking, and contacting in which he has done to Luna, she finally gave in and now has, in some fatalistic way, opened her heart to him. So after the disco party ended at 10 PM, Hitoshi was last spotted on CCTV with Luna heading towards the hotel at around 10:35 PM. Then inside the hotel room, Luna conducted the murder and walked outside of the hotel room at around 2 in the morning, approximately 3 hours after she entered the hotel with Hitoshi. In the CCTV footage, Luna was seen dragging a large carrier bag in which she bought a few days earlier, and placed inside the bag was the head of Hitoshi. And around the same time, Luna's father, Osamu, walked outside from the northern exit side of the Love Hotel. He was the one that both dropped off Luna to the disco party and picked her up from the Love Hotel. And on July 24th, 2023, the Hokkaido Prefectural Police arrested both Luna and her father with charges of murder, with Luna's mother also being arrested shortly afterwards. The head of Hitoshi was later found in their house. Now, the reason why it is extremely difficult to provide personal evaluations on a crime case such as this is due to the very ambivalence in which such a case ignites in our emotion center and the moral dilemma that it poses us with. Because on a purely instinctive, natural level, I have to say it, Hitoshi had something like this coming to him. A moral dilemma does indeed rise in our cognizance when we consider the way in which Hitoshi had to end his life, as there is indeed a degree of voice currently in Japan that while people partly understand why the father and daughter felt compelled to do what they did, the sheer sadistic way in which Luna and her family have carried out the crime does seem a bit too cruel and questionable. However, Hitoshi did seem to have lived a type of lifestyle that was bound to have some consequences. According to a spoken statement by an acquaintance of Hitoshi, Luna was far from being the only young woman whom Hitoshi has made life a living nightmare. His acquaintance stated that he often went to dance parties, dressed as an innocuous middle-aged looking woman, got close, as in literally not figuratively, to a young woman whom he liked, then physically harassed them, or asked them to kiss him, or tried to film them. Now, when you just look at this photo of him wearing this crop top, which prominently shows off his dad bod, and state that he kind of clearly looks like a man. But we have to keep in mind that this disco party was an exception, as more often than not, he wore normal female clothing which was not so revealing and did not so conspicuously reveal his dad bod. And according to many people who knew Hitoshi, they all claimed that they were appalled when they first heard that he was 62 years old, and said that he did do a very, very good job at cross-dressing and legitimately looked like a middle-aged woman. And as in the case of Luna, it has been reported that many women who shared contacts with him often had a torturous time, as he incessantly asked them for a date or asked them to meet up with him. This in fact actually got so bad to the point that he was banned from one of the clubs at the Susukino Entertainment District. So for him to continue to roam around the Japanese northern island of Hokkaido, making life more than difficult for many of the young women in the area, committing direct crimes onto them and think that he would just be able to continue on with his lifestyle without any consequences, he was more than arrogant and foolish to say the least. And if I was the father of Luna myself and I found out that my one and only daughter, who has been suffering from a mental condition throughout her entire life, has been tricked and assaulted by a predatory man disguised as a woman, then was continued to be stalked and harassed by the very same guy, I honestly have to say that I would have been very much enraged as well. Again, such anger should not justify murder of this kind. But at least the parental sentiment of how a father was extremely worried about the safety of his only daughter and wanted to do whatever means necessary to avoid his daughter from another assault attack, I can indeed comprehend. A majority of the people in Japan currently seems to possess similar opinions. To provide an example comment out of many comments of similar nature, to quote, "There is nothing more scarier than a parent who has nothing more to lose because something has been committed onto their child." But as I've stated earlier, the reason why such a crime case provides us with quite a complex dilemma when considering it on a comprehensive level is due to the very ambivalence that it gives us. Now, what do I mean by this? On a purely human, quote-unquote, following the heart level, most of us have to agree on the fact that we are not particularly saddened by the death of Hitoshi, and many do go far as to claim that Hitoshi died from quote-unquote natural causes. But now, at the same time, what is probably given the judge who is to be responsible for the trial of Luna and her parents an extreme headache is whether to at least partly take the overarching Japanese public sentiment into account and do deduct the length of the sentencing that is to be given to the Luna family based on their motivation and extenuating circumstances. But if such a narrative is to prevail in Japan, of a family essentially ending the life of another individual in the sadistic way in which they have done so is only to receive public approval and acclaim and subsequently receive significantly reduced level of sentencing compared to others who have also committed crimes of similar nature, then this could potentially set a dangerous precedent for the Japanese society. To elaborate, not everyone in Japan lives a tranquil day-to-day life. They may have been a victim or still is a victim of the infamous Japanese way of bullying, that's ijime, or as in the case of Luna, directly have been physically assaulted by others, but were initially too afraid to report to the police. In other words, vindictive emotions against one another is a real thing in Japan, as in the case of every other country. As much as some may attempt to deny it, it is a very part of our human nature to want to return the harm that has been done unto you to the person who has committed the harm. So by seeing the fact of father and daughter essentially ending the life of another individual, especially in the cruel way that they have done so, is only to be socially recognized as rightful and be met with lenient sentencing, this just might be the catalyst that sparks some of the individuals in Japan with personal revenges to rightfully settle, to take the matter into their own hands and pull that sword, which is quite literally what Luna and her parents have chosen to do. And in the land of Japan, where rules and conformity matters more than any other country in the world, precedents matter. To elaborate, the last prime minister to be assassinated in Japan before Shinzo Abe was almost 100 years ago in 1936. And since then, over the last 100 years, there has only been a handful of such attempts to Japanese politicians, mainly conducted by the right-wing groups. But after the successful attack on Shinzo Abe by Tetsuya Yamagami, which led to the former PM's passing in 2022, the current prime minister, Fumio Kishida, also had to suffer from such an attack on his life not even a year later. Now, whether the attack on Kishida would not have occurred without the Shinzo Abe precedent, we can never know for sure. But to say that the Abe precedent had absolutely no influence on the mind of the perpetrator who was responsible for the attack on Kishida is also highly unlikely. So while a part of our heart does wish a lenient sentencing to be given to Luna and her father, whether such is objectively the right path for Japan to take when it comes to setting an important precedent for a revenge-based murder case of this nature, where the entire nation is closely watching, we cannot provide a definitive answer on. And for all of the audience on our channel who's watching this video right now and are planning to visit Japan in the near future or are already living in Japan as of current, please do be careful, especially when visiting certain spots of the country, such as the establishments located in the red light districts of the nation, as in the case of Kabukicho district of Tokyo or the Susukino district of Hokkaido. We all know the story. I dropped the wallet in Japan and the Japanese person chased me and handed it back to me, etc. And while it is definitely true that the majority of people in Japan are nice, that is not to say that you should let your guard down completely whenever you're going around the country. As you have seen from this video, seemingly innocuous looking people such as Hitoshi may initially approach you with a smile, all for you to find out soon that they are cross-dressed predators who are determined to make your life a living hell, as in the case of what happened to Luna. So with that said everyone, please stay safe, and we'll let you know later as a pinned comment of this video if there are to be any updates on the shocking case. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode of Age Analysis.